Good morning, my dear students, my dear friends. Today, we are going to discuss about the topic called as SSLV, Small Satellite Launching Vehicle. So, what are the main components of the small satellite launching vehicle? And all the aspects of this launching vehicle will be discussed in this small session. Actually, the main purpose of this SSLV is to launch the satellites into the low Earth orbit, and along with that, this launching vehicle can able to construct the duration of the satellite. A launching vehicle will be very much small. The objective of the SSLV is to place satellites, Earth orbiting satellites, and Ajati Sat into low Earth orbit. So you need to understand the main difference between the pslv and GSLV. As we are already having a launching vehicle system for LUO, which is nothing but PSLV. As PSLV is the most successful launching vehicle which is operating in the low Earth orbit, why we should still have a launching vehicle in for launching the satellites in LUO? Here we can say the main purpose is to launch the satellites as much as early as possible within very short span with low expenditure. Launching the satellites into the LUO is one of the astonishing feature of SSLV. So here you need to understand the comparative analysis of the PSLV and SSLV. What are the fuels and stages of the PSLV and the fuels and stages of the SSLV, through which you can able to understand the multiple dimensions of this particular topic. So PSLV is the fourth generation launching vehicle, satellite launching vehicle, which is the first generation launching vehicle that started using the liquid fuel. But whereas in the case of SSLV, small satellite launching vehicle will use a solid fuel. So what is the fuel used? So it is a launching vehicle with 3 stages, which is nothing but hydroxyl, 3 stages. In all the 3 stages, we'll be using the fuel called as HTPP, hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene, which is a solid fuel. To fire and first 3 stages. So once the first 3 stages has been completed, first stage, solid fuel, HTPP. Second stage, solid fuel, HTPP. Third stage, solid fuel, HTPP. The first 3 stages which take the payload to the desired altitudes. So the fourth stage comprises liquid propulsion based velocity trimming module to place the satellites into the orbit. So the final stage is nothing but velocity trimming module. There they have used the fuel called as MMH, monomethyl hydrogen. So altogether we can say broadly 4 stages: first, second, third, fourth. And fourth stage is meant to deploy the satellites, which is base velocity trimming module. The main payload on the 34-meter tall rocket is the Earth observation satellite. What is the primary satellite? So the main satellite, which is for which the entire launching vehicle is being carried. So majority of the functions and majority of the share of the launching vehicle has to be carried by the one single rocket called as primary satellite. What is the primary satellite? Is nothing but EOS, Earth Observation Satellite, and co-passenger satellite Ajati Sat. So in the context of Ajati Ka Amrit Mahotsav, satellite called as Ajati Sat, an 8 kg CubeSat designed by girl students from government schools across the country to mark the 75th anniversary of India's independence. The objective of EOS, Earth Observation Satellite 02, is to provide inputs on the thermal anomalies towards supporting applications in the domain of geo-environmental studies, forestry, hydrology, agriculture, soil, and coastal studies. So this can be the most important area for your examination point of view also. So the objective of Earth Observation Satellite 02 is to provide inputs on thermal anomalies towards supporting applications in the domains of geo-environmental studies. So what are the applications of EOS? Environmental studies, geo-environmental studies, forestry, hydrology, water changes or water cycle, agriculture, soil, and coastal studies are the primary objectives of EOS 2. The Ajati Sat carries 75 different payloads. Why 75? Because to commemorate 75th independence. 75 different payloads, each weighing about around 50 grams. Girl students from rural regions across the country were provided guidance to build these payloads, which are integrated by the student team of Space Kids India. The radar imaging satellite, one more satellite is nothing but radar imaging satellite. was designed to provide high quality images under all weather conditions. So in all weather conditions, this radar imaging satellite will provide communication, will provide assistance in all under all weather conditions for applications such as agriculture, forestry, and plantation. You need to understand majority of the applications of the satellites that has been launched in LEO will be having this remote sensing related applications such as agriculture, forestry, and plantation. Even if you look at the EOS satellite, also matches with some of the applications. Even whenever you come across with certain objective questions, you can able to mention the satellite that has been launched in EOS will be tremendously will be having the applications related with the agriculture, forestry, hydrology, even in forestry, plantation are the primary objectives we can mention with reference to this particular segment. SSLV is a small satellite launching vehicle, is a three-stage launch vehicle configured with three solid propulsion stages. So, whereas in the case of what is the main difference between PSLV and GSLV? PSLV first and third stages are solid fuels, second and fourth stages are liquid fuels. Whereas in the case of SSLV, first, second, third stages, all the three stages carry the fuel called as solid fuel, which is nothing but hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene. Vehicle configured with three solid propulsion stages and liquid propulsion based velocity trimming module as a terminal stage. SSLV is 2 meters in diameter. The diameter is 2 meters and the height is 34 meters with a weight with a lift-off weight of 120 tons. So the weight is 120 tons. SSLV is capable of launching 500 kg satellite in 500 kilometer polar orbit. So from Satish Dhawan Space Center or Sriharikota high altitude range. The key feature of SSLV. So why we need to launch separate launching vehicle, as we are already having a launching vehicle called as most successful launching vehicle called as PSLV. The reasons are it is low cost with low turnaround time. We can able to build this particular SSLV launching vehicle with very shortest span when compared to the PSLV. Flexibility in accommodating multiple satellites. So for you can able to deploy more number of satellites and launch on demand feasibility. Whenever the foreign customer satellite comes, you can able to launch the satellite, launch on demand feasibility, minimum launch infrastructure equipments, minimum launch infrastructure. So you can able to deploy the launching vehicle SSLV with very minimal infrastructural requirements is one of the most important feature of this. So what is the configuration of this SSLV? So the diameter is 2 meters and the length is 34 meters long and the lift-off mass is 120 tons, three solid propulsion stages, and at the terminal stage, it means at the top, we can see liquid module, which is nothing but MMH, monomethyl hydrogen, is at the final stage. What is the payload capacity? As we already discussed. So nano, micro, mini satellite, multiple satellites, multiple types of satellites can be deployed from this launching vehicle, and single satellite up to 500 kg in 500 kilometer polar orbit can also be launched. Multiple satellites ranging from 10 kg to 300 kg into 500 kilometer polar orbit. So first stage, what is the fuel in the first stage is nothing but solid fuel, HTP based hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene. Even in the case of second stage also, we can see the second stage also the fuel called as HTP, hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene based solid propellant. Third stage, same fuel. But the change comes here whenever terminal module or the final stage is nothing but the liquid fuel, which is nothing but MMH, monomethyl hydrazine. So this UDMH. So in PSLV, the second stage is UDMH, unsymmetrical dimethyl hydrogen. Okay. Whereas in the case of in SSLV, the second stage, first, second, third stages, all the stages will carry the fuel called as solid fuel. ISRO developed a small satellite launching vehicle to cater the launch of up to 500 kg satellites into low Earth orbits on launch on demand basis. SSLV D1 mission would launch EOS. It has today morning, that is August 7th, 2022. It has carried the launching vehicle successfully. This launching vehicle carried the satellites. The main satellites are nothing but EOS, Earth Observation Satellite 02, a 135 kg satellite into low Earth orbit of about 350 kilometers to the equator. So it can able to deploy the satellite of EOS at the height of 350 kilometers at an inclination about 37 degrees. The mission also carries a satellite called as Ajadi Sat. sslv is configured with 3 solid stages. Okay, first, second, third stages. All these third stages carry the fuel, same fuel called as liquid solid fuel HTPP. SSLV is capable of launching multiple satellites, like it may be mini, micro, or nano satellites, to a 500 kilometer planar orbit. SSLV provides low-cost access to space on demand basis. It offers low turnaround time, flexibility in accommodating multiple satellites, launch on demand feasibility, minimal launch infrastructure requirements. So all the things can be done with the very lowest infrastructure facilities. EOS-02 is an Earth observation satellite designed and realized by ISRO. This microsat series satellites offers advanced optical remote sensing operating in infrared band. So this is one important point you need to remember. So in which band it works? EOS, Earth observation satellite, is a satellite designed and realized by ISRO, and it will work in infrared band with high spatial resolution. So the resolution of this particular Earth observation satellite will be extremely high, and the bus configuration derived from MI, it has been built from IMS-1 bus. So mission of SSLV-D1. The small satellite launching vehicle is a new launching vehicle of ISRO capable of launching mini, micro, or nano satellites up to into 500 kilometer planar orbit. So SSLV is a 3-stage launch vehicle with solid propulsion stages, as we already discussed. What is the fuel? Is nothing but, so the fuel is nothing but HTPB, hydroxyl terminated polybutadiene. The design drivers of SSLV are low cost, low turnaround time with very less turnaround time, flexibility in accommodating multiple satellites. It can accommodate, you can accommodate micro, nano, mini satellites. Launch on demand, minimal launch infrastructure facilities requirements. It can be deployed into the thing. EOS-2 is an experimental optical remote sensing satellite. With high spatial resolution. So the objective of EOS is to realize the fly an experimental imaging satellite with a short turnaround time and demonstrate launch on demand facility. So we can say this is an experimental satellite to provide as much as possible configuration. Mission objectives: design and development of an agile and experimental satellite with an imaging payload, providing inputs on thermal anomalies towards supporting applications in the demands of geo-environmental studies, forestry, hydrology, agriculture, and soil coastal studies. What are the new technologies that has been involved? New technologies realize payloads with common 4 optics and metallic primary mirror realized with a limited mass and volume of microsat bus. So what are the innovative technologies or new technologies launched through this are nothing but in this satellite are nothing but payloads with a common 4 optics and metallic primary mirror realized with a limited mass and volume of the satellite. So that is the information with reference to this particular topic called as Earth observation satellite and SSLV. You just try to focus on the concept called as comparative analysis of SSLV and pslv, which will definitely help you to score more marks in your examination pointer. Thank you very much. We'll continue in another session.